Welcome to CLEF Notes, brief answers to theological questions. Our question this morning, what kinds of books do we find in the Bible? You know, the Bible is not just one book, it's 66 books. We find 39 books written before the life of Christ, we call that the Old Testament. 27 books after the life of Christ, we call that the New Testament. The Old Testament has three different types of books in it: history books, books of poetry, and books of prophecy. There are 17 historical books, there's 5 poetical books, and then there's 17 books of prophecy. But, you know, in the historical books we find poetry and prophecy. In the books of poetry we find history and prophecy, and then in the books of prophecy we find poetry and history. So they're good designations, but we have to keep them those designations as, you know, in mind as not definitive in some ways. When we get in the New Testament, we have 4 Gospels of Jesus Christ. These are called biographies, but they really aren't. They're more passions, meaning explanations of why he had to suffer and die and then rise again from the dead. In John 20, we're told that these things are written that we may believe that Jesus is the Christ, the Son of God, and by believing we have life in his name. That's the reason behind the Gospels, the passions of Jesus Christ. Those Gospels are followed by a little book of history called the Acts of the Apostles, and then with 21 epistles, letters, written to congregations and to individuals and to regions. These letters are written by Peter, James, and John, the 3 pillars of the church, and by Paul, mostly by Paul. And finally, we have an apocalyptic book, a book about the end times, Revelation. Now, ultimately, there are apocalyptic elements to the epistles and to the Gospels. And, of course, the Gospel is found throughout all of the epistles of the New Testament. In fact, Martin Luther called all of the books of the New Testament Gospels because they proclaim the gospel of Jesus Christ, the free forgiveness that we have in him, through faith in him. Through faith in Jesus, our sins are removed, and we can live each day in joy and peace, knowing that we stand in good stead before our Father who is in heaven. So there you have it, a quick breakdown of the books of the Bible, the 66 books of the Bible. But let's remember, ultimately, the Bible is just simply one book about Jesus Christ. That's what it's all about. We keep that in mind even as we make these helpful distinctions. I hope that is helpful, and I hope you can join me next time on CLEF Notes.